Millions of Americans are buying the wrong guns. Not because they're careless, because the industry keeps pushing product over performance. In 2026, the market is flooded with firearms that look great in ads, have celebrity endorsements, and sell out in hours. And most of them will fail you when it actually matters. Today, we're naming all 8. If you own one of these or you're about to buy one, you need to watch this before you spend another dollar. This video is for educational purposes only and does not promote harm or unsafe use of firearms. Number 8. FN/FNX 4.5 Tactical. The FN/FNX 4.5 Tactical is the kind of pistol that dominates a room the moment it's mentioned, but that's exactly where the problem begins. In a world where concealed carry is about efficiency, control, and realistic daily use, this handgun walks in like a full-scale military solution to a problem that usually requires precision, not excess. FN built this platform with serious tactical intent. 45 ACP power, suppressor-ready barrel, optics compatibility, and massive capacity for its caliber. It's a beast by design. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people buying this in 2026 are not operating in environments that justify this level of firepower. This isn't a carry gun. It's a statement piece disguised as a defensive tool. The size alone makes concealment a constant battle, printing through clothing, demanding larger holsters, and ultimately discouraging consistent carry. And that's where things start to break down, because a gun that's left at home is worthless in a real-world defensive scenario. The weight, the bulk, and even the recoil impulse of 45 ACP and rapid fire create a system that requires commitment, training, and physical control that most everyday carriers simply don't maintain. But here's where it gets worse. The FNX 4.5 Tactical gives people a false sense of readiness. It feels powerful, it looks unstoppable, but power without practicality is a liability. In high-stress situations, speed, accuracy, and control matter far more than caliber size or magazine capacity. This pistol was built for tactical environments, not daily concealed carry under a t-shirt. Why it earns its place on this list is simple. It's not a bad gun. It's the wrong gun for how most people are actually living. And in 2026, choosing the wrong tool is more dangerous than having less power. Number 7. CZ75 Compact. The CZ75 Compact carries history in its steel frame, but history doesn't always translate into modern-day practicality, and that's exactly where most people get this one wrong in 2026. This pistol comes from a legendary bloodline rooted in military and law enforcement use, respected for its accuracy, smooth shooting characteristics, and old-school craftsmanship. On the range, it feels incredibly solid, balanced, almost reassuring in a way polymer pistols never quite replicate. But concealed carry isn't about how a gun feels during a calm afternoon at the range. It's about how it performs when it's on your body for 10, 12, sometimes 16 hours a day. And that's where the CZ75 Compact starts to fall apart for modern carry. The all-steel construction that gives it that smooth recoil impulse also makes it heavy, noticeably heavy. Over time, that weight becomes a burden, not an advantage. It pulls on your belt, prints more easily under clothing, and slowly but surely pushes people toward leaving it behind just for today. That's the moment a carry gun fails, not when it breaks, but when it becomes inconvenient enough to be left at home. The double-action, single-action trigger system adds another layer of complexity. That first long, heavy trigger pull, followed by lighter subsequent shots, requires consistent training to master under stress. Most casual carriers don't put in that level of repetition, which creates inconsistency exactly when it matters most. Why it lands on this list is not because it lacks quality, it's because it belongs to a different era of carry philosophy. In 2026, lighter, simpler, and more adaptable systems dominate for a reason. The CZ75 Compact is a classic, but relying on nostalgia instead of practicality is where most people go wrong. Number 6. Ruger Security 9. The Ruger Security 9 is one of those pistols that wins people over in the gun store, but quietly loses them in the real world. On paper, it looks like a smart decision. Affordable price, recognizable brand, decent capacity, and a design that feels familiar enough for new shooters to trust immediately. And that's exactly the trap. In 2026, too many buyers are still choosing this pistol based on first impressions instead of long-term performance. And that's where things begin to fall apart. Ruger built the Security 9 to hit a price point, not to redefine concealed carry. And you can feel that compromise the moment you start running it hard. The trigger is serviceable, but it lacks the crisp consistency you need when stress kicks in. The slide operation and overall fit don't have that tight, confidence-inspiring feel found in more refined systems. It works, but works is not the same as trustworthy under pressure. That difference becomes very real when adrenaline takes over and fine motor control disappears. Then, there's the size-to-performance ratio. It's not truly compact enough to disappear easily, yet it doesn't offer the control or refinement of higher-tier compact pistols. It sits in an awkward middle ground, big enough to be inconvenient, but not polished enough to justify carrying that extra bulk. That imbalance leads to hesitation, and hesitation is the last thing you want tied to your defensive tool. Why it makes this list is simple. The security, 9 convinces people they've made a smart, practical choice, but over time, it often gets replaced, upgraded, or left behind. And in concealed carry, a gun that doesn't stay with you is already the wrong choice. Number 5. Kel-Tec P15. The Kel-Tec P15 looks like the future of concealed carry at first glance, but that illusion fades the moment you start asking harder questions. Ultra lightweight, high capacity, incredibly slim for what it offers. On paper, it sounds like the perfect answer to everything modern carriers want. And that's exactly why so many people are still buying it in 2026. But here's the reality. Most won't admit. The P15 feels more like an experiment than a proven defensive system. Kel-Tec has always been known for pushing boundaries, introducing bold concepts before the rest of the market catches up. But innovation without refinement is a dangerous gamble when your life depends on it. The P15's lightweight build, while impressive for carry comfort, comes at the cost of long-term durability confidence. It doesn't have that overbuilt feeling that serious defensive pistols carry, the kind that reassures you it will survive thousands of rounds, harsh conditions, and real-world abuse without hesitation. Then comes shootability. Lightweight pistols sound great until you actually fire them under pressure. Recoil becomes sharper, follow-up shots slow down, and maintaining control demands more effort than most casual carriers expect. It's not impossible to master, but it requires more training than the average buyer is willing to invest. And that gap between expectation and reality is where problems begin. Why it lands on this list is not because it's a failure, it's because it's unfinished in spirit. It promises cutting-edge performance, but doesn't always deliver consistent confidence. In 2026, concealed carry is about proven systems, not experimental advantages. The Kel-Tec P15 tempts buyers with innovation, but when things go wrong, innovation alone isn't what saves you. Number 4. Kimber Micro 9. The Kimber Micro 9 is the kind of pistol that seduces buyers before it ever proves itself, and that's exactly why it keeps showing up in holsters. It doesn't belong in. It looks incredible. Clean lines, metal frame, classic 1911, inspired design scaled down into something that feels elegant, almost collectible. But concealed carry isn't about elegance, it's about brutal consistency when nothing goes according to plan. And that's where the Micro 9 starts to show cracks beneath its polished surface. Kimber built this pistol around a Micro 1911 platform, which immediately introduces complexity into a space where simplicity is king. Unlike modern striker-fired systems that rely on straightforward mechanics, the Micro 9 demands more attention, manual safety engagement, tighter tolerances, and a system that can be less forgiving if not properly maintained. For experienced shooters who train regularly, that may not be a deal-breaker. But for the average concealed carrier in 2026, it creates unnecessary variables in moments that demand instinct, not thought. Then there's reliability perception. While many units run well, the Micro 9 has developed a reputation that makes people question it, and doubt is the last thing you want tied to your defensive tool. Add in the snappy recoil from its small frame and the need for precise handling, and it becomes clear this isn't a forgiving pistol under stress. It requires discipline, familiarity, and ongoing attention. Why it makes this list is simple. It sells a feeling, not a function. People buy it because it looks refined and compact. But concealed carry doesn't reward aesthetics, it punishes inconsistency. In 2026, when simpler, more predictable systems exist, choosing something that demands more from you than it gives back is where most people go wrong. Number 3. Beretta APX A1 Carry. The Beretta APX A1 Carry carries a legendary name, but in 2026, that name is doing more of the heavy lifting than the pistol itself. Beretta is a brand built on decades of battlefield credibility and refined engineering, and that reputation alone convinces a lot of buyers they're making a safe choice. But here's the problem: the APX A1 carry doesn't fully live up to that legacy in the concealed carry role, and most people don't realize it until after they've already committed. At first glance, it checks the right boxes: compact size, modern styling, and a platform that looks like it belongs in today's defensive world. But once you actually start running it, the shortcomings become harder to ignore. The trigger is one of its biggest weaknesses: long, heavy, and lacking the clean break that shooters rely on for controlled, repeatable shots. Under stress, that kind of trigger doesn't just slow you down, it introduces hesitation. And hesitation in a defensive moment is dangerous. The ergonomics don't quite save it either. While not terrible, they lack the natural, intuitive feel found in competing pistols. It doesn't lock into the hand in a way that builds immediate confidence. Combined with its relatively low capacity compared to modern micro-compacts, it starts to feel like a design that's already been outpaced by the market. Why it earns its spot on this list is because it creates a false sense of security. People trust the Beretta name and assume performance will follow automatically. But concealed carry doesn't reward brand loyalty, it rewards execution. In a time where better triggers, higher capacities, and more refined ergonomics are widely available, settling for something that feels average at best is where most buyers get it wrong. Number 2. Glock 19 Gen 5. The Glock 19 Gen 5 is one of the most respected pistols ever made, but respect doesn't automatically make it the right choice for concealed carry in 2026, and that's the mistake thousands of people are still making. This gun has earned its reputation through decades of reliability, military, and law enforcement adoption, and a track record that's almost impossible to argue against. It's dependable, simple, and brutally consistent. But here's the problem: most people are not carrying it in the environments it was originally optimized for. The Glock 19 was built as a compact duty pistol, not a dedicated concealed carry platform. And that difference matters more than ever today. Its size, while manageable, is still large enough to create printing issues under light clothing, especially in warmer climates or daily civilian use. Over time, that slight inconvenience turns into a pattern. People start leaving it behind on quick errands, short trips, or situations where concealment becomes difficult. And again, a gun that isn't with you is a gun that doesn't exist when you need it. Then, there's the evolution of the market. In 2026, micro-compacts and slimline pistols have dramatically improved in capacity, shootability, and reliability. They offer similar performance in a smaller, more concealable footprint. The Glock 19 hasn't gotten worse, it's just no longer the most practical option for everyday concealed carry. Why it makes this list is not because it's a bad pistol, it's because it's often the wrong tool for the job people are asking it to do. It shines in duty roles, home defense, and range work. But forcing it into a concealed carry role when better suited options exist is where most buyers get it wrong. Number 1. Sig Sauer P320 Compact. The Sig Sauer P320 Compact is one of the most controversial entries in modern concealed carry, and in 2026, that controversy is exactly why people are still buying it without fully understanding what they're choosing. On paper, it looks like a perfect answer: modular design, smooth striker-fired trigger, solid capacity, and a brand name that carries serious weight in military and law enforcement circles. It feels like a modern, flexible system built for almost any role. But concealed carry is not almost any role. It is a very specific, high-stakes requirement where consistency matters more than versatility. The P320 platform is built around modularity, which is its biggest strength and its biggest distraction. The idea that you can swap grip modules and reconfigure the gun sounds excellent in theory, but in real defensive use, most carriers never actually benefit from that flexibility. Instead, they end up carrying a system that is slightly larger, slightly heavier, and slightly more complex than what they truly need. And in concealed carry, slightly is often the difference between comfort and inconsistency. Then there's the broader conversation that has followed this pistol for years: concerns, debates, and ongoing scrutiny around its design history. Even if many users have no issues, perception matters in defensive tools. Confidence is not just mechanical, it's psychological. And when a pistol carries ongoing questions in public discourse, it introduces doubt where certainty should exist. Why it lands on this list is not because it lacks capability, but because it often exceeds the needs of the average concealed carrier. It is a duty-capable, modular platform being used as a simple EDC solution, and that mismatch is where mistakes happen. In 2026, concealed carry is trending toward purpose-built simplicity, and the P320 Compact represents the opposite: a system designed for everything, but not always optimized for the one thing most people actually need it for. Outro. In concealed carry, the biggest mistake isn't choosing a bad gun, it's choosing the wrong gun for your real life. We saw how reputation, size, and hype can mislead even experienced buyers. The truth is simple. If it's not comfortable, consistent, and carried daily, it fails you before the fight even begins. So, now tell me, what would you actually trust your life to?